This video is going to be a film study look at the Seahawks offense in Saturday night's preseason finale against the Cleveland Browns. Of course, it was a high-scoring affair. We're going to focus on the Seahawks offense. Be my first real film study video about the offense, other than talking about Jackson Smith-Njigba about 3 months ago in a film study video that I did. It's a little bit lazy by me, to be honest with you, to do Seahawks defensive videos because I have such familiarity with Mike Macdonald's scheme. And I can generally pick up and play with that. With Ryan Grubb's offense, I do not have that familiarity. So I have sat and watched the offense completely to the omission or neglecting the defense totally. Have not watched that at all yet. So I will say this. Seattle was in 11 personnel a lot already in 2023. 64%, I consider that a lot, but I recognize that is about league average, 15th, 16th in the league, 64% of the time. 12 personnel was the differential, if you ask me. They were 10th in the NFL in 12 personnel usage last year, 1 running back and 2 tight ends, 22% of the time. Interestingly enough, out of those 12 personnel groupings, they were 50-50 run pass, at least to my knowledge of what I can recall. Additional to that, before we get to the film, I'm a Ravens fan, a Ravens content creator, so I have a lot of familiarity with the Browns and their defense under Jim Schwartz. They can be exploited if you can beat them in man. He likes to play a lot of man free, and in fact play versions of man free that allow him to bring 5 rushers. So there is no low hole dropper. He trusts his guys in coverage, and he trusts the pass rush to get there. And on this first drive, Seattle and Geno Smith were able to exploit it multiple times. Now, granted, they're not necessarily going against the starters. I understand that. But I think this offense paired up with Mike Macdonald's defensive system, defensive structure, I think is going to potentially could be fantastic for you guys out in Seattle. So we'll pick this up and we'll go through the whole first drive and then talk about Kenny McIntosh's touchdown run. First play, speed out to DK Metcalf. You got strong safety roll down into the boundary, who is in the window. And you can even see from the release that Geno Smith is kind of releasing it high. Just from this all-22 angle, I feel like you can detect it. He sees that the defender is going to be in the window. Again, you're talking about mostly backups for the Browns, so some would say this is just an easy time of it. Nonetheless, you got to go out there and execute. Got to be able to hit throws, particularly against Jim Schwartz's defense. He's going to bring pressure. You see another example of them bringing 5 here, playing man across the board, and a slot fade to JSN, 25, 26-yard gain. Extremely well-thrown ball by Geno Smith. Ball was popping out of there, and great hands by JSN up to the top side. It's 11 personnel grouping. This is kind of like what everyone's showing this preseason. Pro Twins A, 3 into the boundary, meaning tight end, running back, Z receiver into the boundary, forcing strong safety to roll down to the boundary, the short side of the field, while the nickel defender is to the field, to the wide side of the offensive or defensive set. In this case, JSN wins to the top side, towards the sideline. Beautiful throw, if you ask me. A lot of people talk about Geno Smith having a down year last year. He did have 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. I think he was still chosen for the Pro Bowl. Maybe there was other people in front of him who declined the trip. But in any case, he's going to benefit from Ryan Grubb's offense, I think. Ryan Grubb's offense is going to benefit from a lot of stops by the defense with all the talent that is out there. It's man-free, and I think he's just, initially he was looking here for a moment just to kind of maybe hold the middle of the field safety. But look, on this slot fade, that middle of the field safety isn't going to play any role at all. He's just trying to hold him as much as he can to keep him out of there. Beautifully placed over the top, 25-yard gain. We've ran it enough times, but slot fade's one of my favorite concepts. The Ravens use it a lot. So third play of the drive here, there's going to be a +1 blitz, I think, but it ends up looking like a 3 deep, 3 under, so this may have been the intention. As it stands, Geno Smith gets the play off anyway. McIntosh with a catch ends up being a 9-yard gain. So what I mean when I say +1 is this guy right here is going to blitz, but it doesn't look like to me he blitzes until the tight end steps out to the edge defender and engages him. And you can see now that's the 5th rusher. But watch 30. 30 ends up stepping up like it's a run play because there's play action element to it. And then peeling back, and you do get this 3 deep, 3 under delineation. So perhaps it wasn't a a read blitz by that strong safety, or whatever you want to call him, lined up to the tight end side, meaning he sees the tight end block the edge defender and takes off running. Perhaps that is not the case. Perhaps the plan, the intention of all the time was to bring 5, and in this case, that strong safety, nickel defender, whatever, ends up almost falling down. That causes him to be a little bit late getting to Geno Smith, who does a nice job getting the ball off. Still an ominous situation, if you ask me, to be throwing it when you're almost falling down. But it worked out. Creates a 2nd and 1. My second favorite play from this drive coming up. It's a short drive. Obviously, you guys know how it ends with the touchdown pass to DK Metcalf. RPO down here to the field. So you've got trips a gun, and 2 of the safeties go to the same side of the field for the Browns. That's why JSN and the tight end are motioning across. They're pulling those 2 with them, their strong safety and the nickel. Presumably man here and here and here. That's what it looks like pre-snap. The running back set to the same side of the trips. Running back's going to cross the face of Geno Smith. No real mesh between them, meaning the ball didn't touch him at all. So this could just be a play action that looks like an RPO to some of these guys at the second level, because they don't obviously know that there's no mesh. Ends up being a completion to JSN for 7 yards. Now, since it's man and Geno Smith knows it, he's going to understand that one of these 2 guys is going to be responsible for the running back if he crosses Geno Smith's face and it's a pass play, and he goes out into the boundary side flat. So this could be a situation where he read it pre-snap and he knew what the read was, quote unquote. So he knew that he was going to get the ball to JSN. So you'll see the end zone angle here. You'll see that there's no mesh, meaning the ball never touches McIntosh at all. Quickly, Geno Smith is able to throw it around number 1. JSN, like I said, great hands, at least in this game from what I've seen. And then here's the touchdown pass to DK Metcalf. Empty set. Whether it's man or zone, certainly does look like zone here. Cover 3, I would call it. All versions of cover 3, if you're going to throw the ball 30, 35 yards deep down the left sideline or the right sideline for that matter, outside the numbers, it basically is man at that point. It's not a man concept from a coverage standpoint, but it ends up being man, meaning it ends up being a one-on-one. Absolute mismatch, obviously, with the level of talent that the Seahawks were facing on that night. So you could say that this is a run through. Whatever you want to call it, it's still great execution, great throw, and putting DK Metcalf in position to make these plays, which he can do. Great leaps. It's the front pick for this video, in case you didn't know. I'm sure it had to be fun for the Seahawks fans, because they knew, I'm sure, that JSN, DK Metcalf, and Geno Smith were going to be out of there after the first possession. So moving forward, 2 possessions. This is the 3rd possession. McIntosh's 56-yard run. Going to talk this through and try to explain to you how they exploited the Browns' tendency to play man-free. So first, the motion through is going to pull one of the Browns defenders with them. In this case, it's a corner. Now you do have a really nice block by Laviska Shenault. He's going to pull through here and then go get the strong safety. Give you the end zone angle, then we'll come back to the all-22. So you can see how they've created this numbers advantage. You do end up having a brutal stiff arm by McIntosh as you get down the field that finishes it off. End zone angle will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. From a coverage standpoint, man-free, here, off screen to our right is the receiver who's going to motion. He's going to bring the corner with him. So what happens post-snap, let me back this up just a little bit, sorry. Post-snap, what happens here is Shenault is going to go from the right-hand side of the formation, our left side of the screen, and he's going to cross the midline and go get the strong safety who is responsible for this tight end. And this is one of the reasons why, in some defenses, when you are responsible for a tight end man and he steps out to block, you fill now. So that if there is such a block as this, whether it's F counter, whether it's a log block by guard, you meet him at or near the line of scrimmage, maybe 1 yard past it, instead of a little bit further back. So you can see 41 is triggered, but I think he's triggered maybe slightly late. Additional to that, on the play, 29 was responsible for Shenault, but he's also got motion crossing his face, and the quarterback's back is turned. Just like so many players in the NFL, they're looking for the football instead of responding to their key. And not saying that 29 is going to make the tackle and turn this into a negative yardage play, but he could theoretically get to the front side as a backside player to make the tackle. And then, in fact, he is the last man in pursuit there that kind of peels off as McIntosh crosses the goal line. It's a great run. It's a great scheme, taking advantage of the man coverage, if you ask me, that the Browns continue to play no matter who is on the field from a coverage standpoint. And believe me, I know from a Ravens content creator perspective, they are committed to the man-free situations, and whether the starters are in there or not, some of these opportunities are going to be there. Here's 29, who would have been manned on Shenault. Shenault left after the play, post-snap movement, not a motion, and 29 didn't go with him. So if it was a pass play, theoretically, Shenault could slip out somewhere into the flats. Take a long time for that to develop. You can see the block by Shenault, who is a big, strong, physical guy anyway. When I first saw this play and I didn't hear the audio from the broadcast, so I didn't hear them say Shenault with the block, I thought it was a tight end. And then I went back and looked, and I was like, oh, that's Shenault. He was an interesting player in Carolina. I like to watch him. So in any case, this is my first look really second look at the Seahawks offense in the preseason. I did watch 2 or 3 other possessions from week 1. Fun to watch and get to see some of the first-team guys out there. None of the first-team running backs, obviously. Super talented group. Going to be interesting to see how they mesh together in 11 personnel groupings, in 12 personnel groupings, or whatever. Certainly have a shit ton of talent between DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett, the two young running backs that are a lot of fun to watch and run extremely hard, and then Geno Smith looking to take advantage of the fact that Mike Macdonald brings a great defensive system there. It's going to put the offense in position to succeed early and often. You guys let me know if you enjoyed the film study breakdown of their first possession against the Browns. There was a lot more points scored, but these are the guys that I was focusing on for this video. I'll have a video out on the offense probably Tuesday evening late. My Seahawks content tends to premiere late because I know you guys are on the West Coast and I'm obviously on the East Coast, so it benefits me to release it later on. In any case, let me know what you think of the film study. If you're excited about the offense under Ryan Grubb with the personnel that they have there and an offensive line that I think can get the job done as well. Appreciate you guys' time.